Vels is one of the oldest and most mysterious deities of Slavic mythology. His cult was widespread among the Eastern and Southern Slavs, and he played an extremely important role in the religious worldview of pre-Christian Rus. Key information about Vels' names and epithets. Vels, Volos, Vles, names that were used depending on the region. In the Christian era, he was often associated with Volkvi and was frequently demonized or merged with the image of unclean spirits. Functions and attributes. 1. God of wealth and prosperity. Vels was considered the patron of livestock, agriculture, harvest, and trade. He was revered as a bringer of well-being and a protector of property. 2. God of wisdom and magic. Vels was the patron of knowledge, magic, poetry, and the arts. He was closely associated with Volkvi, priests, and healers who served him. 3. God of the underworld and the dead. Vels was associated with Nav, the realm of the dead. He was called the guide of souls and the one who maintains the connection between the living and their ancestors. 4. God of nature and animals. He is often depicted with horns or in the form of a bear, wolf, or serpent. He was seen as a forest spirit, lord of animals, and protector of wild creatures. Symbolism. Trees, oak, willow, symbols of the connection between the worlds of the living and the dead. Animals, bear, bull, wolf, cat, serpent. Symbols, spiral, horn of plenty, serpent, and the sign of Vels. Contrast with Perun in the pre-Christian pantheon, Vels was often contrasted with Perun, the god of thunder and war. Perun, sky, lightning, law, order. Vels, earth, underworld, chaos, magic. This dualism resembles the concept of light and darkness, spirit and matter, forming a balance in the world. Cult of Vels. Priests, Volkvi, who communicated with spirits and ancestors. Offerings, milk, honey, wool, bread, all symbols of fertility and abundance. Festivals. The Day of Vels was celebrated in February, which in Christian times was assimilated into the feast of Saint Blaise, the patron of cattle. Vels in Christian tradition. With the adoption of Christianity, the image of Vels was displaced or transformed. He was turned into an unclean being, often associated with the devil or Satan. His functions were transferred to Saint Blaise, the Christian patron of shepherds. The Book of Vels. There exists an apocryphal text known as the Book of Vels, a controversial manuscript supposedly written by Vels priests. Many scholars consider it a 20th century forgery, though it still holds value for reconstructing pagan worldviews. The character of Vels in Slavic beliefs was complex, multifaceted, and often contradictory, just like the world he governed. His image embodies duality, light and darkness, wisdom and chaos, wealth and the underworld. Main character traits of Vels. 1. Wise and mysterious. Vels was the god of knowledge, magic, prophecy, and poetry. He was often imagined as an old sage, a Volkv or sorcerer, who knew hidden truths and could influence fate. 2. Powerful and authoritative. He was the ruler of Nav, the otherworld, where he governed the souls of the dead. His power extended over underground riches, treasures, livestock, and harvests. 3. Protector and patron. He cared for people, animals, crafts, poets, and priests. He was honored as a benevolent spirit of abundance and fertility, and people prayed to him for good harvests and wealth. 4. Cunning and changeable. He personified the chaotic force of nature, capable of kindness but also of punishing disrespect. He was believed to be able to shapeshift, which emphasized his fluid and unpredictable nature. 5. Dark, but not evil. Unlike his demonized image in Christianity, the pagan Vels was not an embodiment of evil. His darkness symbolized depth, the unconscious, and ancient knowledge, not malice or destruction. Psychological portrait. Introverted, inclined toward introspection, the underworld, and hidden things. Embodies the archetype of the wise old man and trickster at the same time. a balance of chaos and order, in contrast to Perun's martial directness. The archetype of Wels in Slavic mythology is exceptionally deep and syncretic. It combines several classical archetypes known from mythological and Jungian traditions. His image is a bridge between the world of the living and the beyond, between the rational and the magical. 1. Archetype of the sage Wels is the bearer of knowledge, wisdom, and mystery. Patron of Volkvi, magicians, poets, and prophets. His wisdom is not scientific, but an intuitive, deep understanding of life, nature's cycles, death, and rebirth. A symbol of the inner voice, spiritual guide, and deep intuition. 2. Archetype of the trickster Wels possesses the ability to change form, appearing as animals such as a serpent, bear, or cat. He can be cunning, unpredictable, and provocative. This archetype represents rule-breaking, not for evil's sake, but for renewal or enlightenment. Such a Wels tests and challenges, but ultimately brings valuable experience. 3. Archetype of the Lord of the Underworld as the god of Nav, Wels is the master of the invisible world. He is not a devil, but a natural part of the life cycle, death, rebirth, and ancestral legacy. His realm is a place where souls are purified, and ancestral memory is preserved. Wels is a guide into the depths of the subconscious. 4. Archetype of the keeper of wealth and abundance Wels is the guardian of earthly riches, livestock, harvest, trade. In this role, he is the spirit of fertility, generosity, and stability. His symbols include the horn of plenty, fertile soil, and bountiful fields. Synthesis of archetypes Wels is a shadow god who grants both wisdom and trials. He protects ancient truths and forces one to pass through crisis to attain spiritual or material growth. He embodies the archetype of the inner shaman or mystic, one who knows the price of death and the value of life. In Slavic mythology, few fully preserved written myths exist, but through folklore, apocrypha, and reconstructions, one of the central myths can be pieced together, the myth of Wels and Perun. It is a foundational story that symbolizes the struggle between the forces of order and chaos, sky and earth, conscious and unconscious. The myth of Wels and Perun reconstructed plotline. In ancient times, Wels, the god of earth, wisdom, and the underworld, steals something incredibly precious from Perun. In one version, it is Perun's wife, sister, or son. In another, the heavenly cattle or even the sun itself. Wels hides the stolen item in his dark, serpent-like realm, either beneath the earth or in the waters of Nav. Perun, god of thunder and sky, becomes enraged and rises against Wels. He hurls lightning bolts, thunders across the world, and descends from the heavens to pursue his enemy. Wels flees, transforming into various animals, a serpent, bear, wolf, or bird. But Perun relentlessly chases him and eventually defeats him. Wels falls to the earth, and with his defeat, cosmic order is restored. Symbolism of the myth element symbol Wels earth, chaos, shadow, instincts, the otherworld Perun sky, order, law, consciousness the battle eternal struggle between instinct and reason, nature and culture Wels's transformations shapeshifting, flexibility, magic Perun's lightning light of truth, purification, punishment cyclical nature of the myth. This myth is reflected in the annual natural cycle. In autumn, Wels steals the light. Days grow shorter, life slows. In winter, he rules as the god of Nav, the realm of the dead. In spring, Perun defeats him again. Days grow longer, nature awakens. Thus, the myth is not only a story but a reflection of the yearly cycle, a symbol of natural and spiritual renewal. The character of Wels in modern individuals manifests as deep inner wisdom, the ability to transform, and a close connection with the subconscious, nature, creativity, and the shadow aspects of the personality. This is the archetype of the inner shaman, philosopher, artist, or seeker of deeper meaning. How Vels manifests in the modern person. 1. Intuition and deep knowledge. A person with the Vels archetype often possesses highly developed intuition and deep thinking. They are naturally drawn to mysticism, philosophy, psychology, mythology, and esoteric knowledge. 2. Thirst for magic and the hidden fascination with esotericism, Jungian psychology, dream work, shamanic practices, astrology. A desire to go beyond the ordinary, to perceive the invisible. 3. Shadow side. Complex morality. Such people may have a flexible moral compass and often think in gray zones rather than black and white. They can walk between worlds, adapting their behavior to different circumstances. 4. Shape-shifting and adaptation. Vels as a shapeshifter is seen in the ability to adapt, to change identity. These are people who may be business people by day, and poets, game designers, or rune readers by night. 5. Material success through subtle perception. Vels is the patron of trade and wealth. In modern people, this can appear as entrepreneurial intuition, subtle yet effective resource management. This is not aggressive capitalism, but a flexible, intuitive economy, wealth through wisdom. 6. Connection with nature. A love for the forest, animals, and silence. A Vels person is not necessarily an eco-activist, but someone who feels part of the earth. Modern profiles of Vels people type. Modern embodiment. The sage psychotherapist, mentor, analyst, the magician, shaman, astrologer, tantric, tarot reader, deep artist, the trickster, screenwriter, stand-up comedian, original thinking blogger, keeper of wealth, entrepreneur, investor, intuitive manager, poet of nature, hermit, farmer, eco-practitioner, traveler. A Vels person is one who is not afraid to dive within, to face their fears, and to find the gold of wisdom hidden there. The archetype of Vels in a person has the power to reveal and illuminate inner blocks connected to the subconscious, the shadow, fears, the lost connection with nature, and one's own intuition. This archetype works like a shaman, not always gently, but deeply and truthfully. 1. Block. Fear of the shadow. What Vels reveals. Repressed desires, resentment, shame, rage, sexuality, trauma. The compulsion to control everything and avoid chaos. Vels's influence. He forces a person to face their fears. Through dreams, crisis, and inner conflict, Vels leads one toward the integration of shadow aspects of the self. 2. Block. Excess of rationality symptoms. Living solely in the head. Logic, control, analysis. Ignoring intuition, body signals, and the unconscious. Vels's influence. He awakens the inner voice, dreams, intuition, and animal instinct. He may provoke loss of control in order to bring a person back to their authentic self. 3. Block. Disconnection from the body and nature symptoms. Alienation from the earth, forests, bodily rhythms, forgotten sensuality. Tension. Lack of inner grounding. Vels's influence. He leads to bodily awakening, through touch, voice, nature, animals, ritual. He restores the sense of rootedness in the earth. 4. Block. Inauthenticity symptoms. Playing social roles, wearing masks, losing the true self. Dependence on others' opinions. Fear of being different. Vels's influence. Vels provokes an identity crisis, forcing one to shed their skin, change form, and become who they truly are. 5. Block. Creative flow symptoms. Creativity blocked by fear of criticism, perfectionism, or apathy. Loss of trust in inspiration, disconnection from the inner poet or magician. Vels's influence. He opens the doors to deep creative flow, through dreams, symbols, spontaneous writing, music, and the whispers of nature. 6. Block. Fear of death and change symptoms. Fear of loss, endings, and transformation. Clinging to the old, avoiding change. Vels's influence. He guides through death, symbolic or real loss, to birth a new version of the self. This is the archetype of initiation. Conclusion. The Vels archetype is the one within you who breaks your patterns, but also heals you like a shaman. He leads you into the depths, so you can liberate yourself and find your true strength.